I didn't knock, because doors are for people who expect mercy. He was on his knees when I saw him, sleeves rolled, knuckles raw, a ring of gray water spreading under the fridge. His wife didn't look up, cheese between her fingers, phone glowing. A throne made of laminate and indifference. "Again," she said, bored. "By the fridge." That word, again, did something to me. It aligned a few old memories. The tone, the entitlement, the way power hides in plain sight when it's been normalized. I stepped inside. The hinge creaked. She glanced up, annoyed, like I'd interrupted a commercial. That's when I remembered the boardroom, the glass walls, the hissed whisper across polished oak. "You're outdated. We're done here." I had replied quietly, "Understood." That was the moment the retirement trust activated its voting rights. By Monday morning, the board convened an emergency meeting. One question burned through the agenda like acid. Who just fired the person who owns 76% of the shares? But that came later. First, the floor. I stood there and watched him scrub, watched her eat, watched a marriage perform a private ritual of humiliation. I wasn't there for him. I was there because I recognized the architecture of control. I'd lived inside it. We had built the company together once. Late nights, burnt coffee, a belief that competence would protect us from cruelty. He used to call me brother. He used to ask my opinion before making decisions. He used to listen. Then the new CEO arrived, sleek, surgical, venomously charming. He brought consultants. He brought language that softened knives, streamlining, modernization, cultural fit. He brought her. She was hired as a brand strategist. She learned quickly where leverage lived. She learned how to whisper to men who confused appetite for insight. She learned how to turn confidence into obedience. I saw it before anyone else. A change in cadence. Meetings I wasn't invited to. Documents delayed. My calendar edited without consent. He stopped meeting my eyes. The betrayal didn't announce itself. It leaked. A forwarded email with the wrong attachment, a casual joke about my legacy mindset, a contract amendment buried in an appendix. And then the final act, a closed-door meeting where I was told I'd be transitioned out for the good of the company. Outdated. I didn't argue. I thanked them. I shook hands. I went home and opened a file I'd prepared years earlier, when trusts still existed, but prudence insisted on backups. The retirement trust wasn't sentimental. It was patient. I spent weeks silent, weeks watching. I documented expense reports that didn't reconcile, recorded calls where tone shifted when they thought the line was dead. I let them believe I was hurt, then bitter, then gone. Meanwhile, lawyers drafted, auditors traced, proxies were collected like fingerprints. I didn't rush. Rushing is for people who need to be seen. Execution is quieter. Back in the kitchen, she finally looked at me. Recognition flickered. Fear followed. She knew me. She'd studied me the way predators study terrain. "What are you doing here?" she asked. I looked at the floor, at the missed spot by the fridge. "Again," I said softly. Her husband froze. He looked up at me, eyes wet, ashamed, searching for permission he no longer understood how to claim. I handed him a folder. Inside, a restraining order draft, a lease termination, a bank statement showing an account opened in his name, funded by me. Enough to start over. Not charity. Reparation. Then I turned to her. "By Monday," I said, "you won't have a job. By Friday, no one will return your calls. And by the end of the month, you'll be explaining expense fraud to people who don't blink." She laughed. Too loud. "You think you still matter?" I smiled. "The trust does." She didn't understand. Not yet. The board did. When the emergency meeting convened, the CEO tried to posture, tried to control the room. He quoted performance metrics. He gestured at slides he hadn't read. Then the votes came in. 76% is not a majority. It's gravity. The room shifted. The CEO's voice cracked. He looked at me like I'd violated an unspoken rule, like power wasn't supposed to remember who owned it. "You're outdated," he said again, weaker this time.
Understood, I replied, and accepted his resignation. The fallout was surgical. Press releases drafted, stock stabilized, a new interim appointed, one who knew the cost of arrogance. The brand strategist vanished from LinkedIn. The wife's phone stopped glowing. In the kitchen, she stared at the folder in my hand like it was a mirror she couldn't break. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I simply told the truth. This is what control looks like, I said. Quiet, prepared, unavoidable. I left without knocking. Later, alone, I allowed myself a moment. Not joy, not rage, something cleaner. Closure. Betrayal teaches you where the levers are. Revenge is just knowing when to pull them.